Hey everyone, this is Curb Knight, bringing you another match from the case tournament at Project CCG over the weekend. And I hope you guys really enjoyed those last two videos because I am bringing you yet another match of me playing Maelstrom against Youthberk. However, this time it is actually going to be piloted by my teammate and BCS Anaheim first place Anaheim premium champion, Joshua Rodriguez. Just getting into this match. Unfortunately, unlike my other two matches, I am going to be going second in this round. So I'm going to take advantage of that and actually call down one of my prize tridents and swing at the Vanguard, trying to push some early damage. We don't see a defensive trigger coming out, but unfortunately he does guard the Vanguard attack with just a 15k guard. Anyways, just going into the second turn, I do guard his Vanguard attack, so I am going to my grade 2 turn at 0 damage. And we're going to be searching out that Judgment Maelstrom, as we usually do. Just pulling that prize trident backwards because it's not going to be actually going to be able to hit. So might as well just push it back so it doesn't get swung into and he can't damage deny me during this next turn, because we are going to Youthberk's first turn, which I would say something I didn't mention in either of the last two videos is if you are going second against Youthberk, as opposed to actually getting 1 damage, you probably should just keep yourself at 0 if at all possible, and just kind of just soak up their attacks when they're swinging with the double Vanguard swings. So as we see here, we're going to be seeing yet again another whole bunch of classic youth plays, calling 2 Therapy Angels, calling a Witch, calling a Schneisel. Whoa, I bet you've never seen this before. Anyways, just swinging with that Youthberk, and once again, you're going to see me no guard the first Vanguard swing, and we're actually going to be hitting a Persona Ride and a Gust. Just going to be Revolve forming into that Tempest using that skill, checking the top 2 cards, and unfortunately, we do see a grade 1 Therapy Angel, so my prize trident is actually going to get sent back to the bottom of the deck. But we do have the remaining attacks. This Schneisel is going to be swinging at 20-30, I believe. Oh wait, we didn't use the skill, so it's only 25. So at this point, I believe I'm thinking, this other Therapy Angel's at 15, so that's going to call for a 15k guard, because obviously I don't play 10ks, or I don't have one in hand. So I figure, okay, I'm going to guard this Schneisel for 20k shield, just because if he gets a trigger on this one drive check, that Therapy Angel is going to be hitting for a 25, which is not really very well easily to guard. But anyways, I am going to be committing another 15k shield, unfortunately, to the Therapy Angel, because it is at 15, and since I am at grade 2, that's just a really awkward number for me. Anyways, looks like I'm going to be going into my grade 3 turn, checking that top 7, and of course getting the card that I needed for my first grade 3 turn, Inlet Pulse Dragon, the card that seems to always come to me exactly when I need it. So anyways, going second is really not what you want to be doing with Maelstrom, because you really want to be able to be hitting with a whole bunch of pressure, because Maelstrom is definitely so much better going first. And your first grade 3 turn is kind of devoted to setting up your Inlet Pulse into the soul. I did mention this earlier, and I am going to be playing that Judgment Maelstrom. Unfortunately, I don't have another Inlet Pulse in the drop zone, which is kind of why we searched it off that ride line. So unfortunately, we're going to be going for the grade 3 Tear Dragon from the newest set, BT8, using the Inlet Pulse to actually do some cleanups, swinging at the Schneisel, because if we had swung at Vanguard, it was pretty likely that he would have just intercepted with it anyway, using the Tidal Assault to take out that Therapy Angel. Like I mentioned in the last video, I love having the Therapy Angels in the front row because it means that Tidal Assault can just swing at them for free, preventing any sort of defenses from coming out. But now we're going to be swinging with the boost from Wheel Assault for a nice 18, which is a pretty good number, using that Tidal Assault skill to Soul Blast 1 and giving the Maelstrom an extra 5k. At the end of the battle, we're going to be using Wheel Assault skill, swapping that grade 3 Tear Dragon, and then swinging for the 4th attack. Maelstrom retire the other Therapy Angel. So for those of you counting at home, that is 2 Therapy Angels dead already. So swing 18 for the Vanguard. He is going to be taking it, but unfortunately we don't really have a very good drive check. Not only do we hit the Inlet Pulse, which it would be good, but in this case, I do kind of need more defensive cards. So it's not the greatest, and I do see another Tidal Assault, which is not very much shield value. Unfortunately, both of my Tear Dragons are going to be going back to the Soul. The skill of the grade 3 puts it into soul if it gets the extra 10k, and the inlet pulse obviously is going to soul for its own skill. Unfortunately, only drawing one card, so I am a little bit worried going to the second youth turn. There is the very real possibility that I can die here, especially since I don't have a ton of defensive options in my hand at the moment. So looks like Youth's going to be using that skill to top call that grade 2 from set 7, the one that like counterblast 1, soul blast 1, check top 3, I think, and then either add a grade 3 or call a grade 2 or less from among them. Not going to be using its skill, obviously, because you probably want to use Tempest this turn, and you definitely need that 1 CB for it. But we do see another Therapy Angel come on down, discarded off the Youthberk skill. So looks like we are actually going to be using that grade 2 skill, so probably not going to be going for a Tempest this turn. Actually adding another copy of Persona Ride to hand. Calling out actually a Gust to be an attacker, which is something we kind of did see in the last game. It does hit for nice numbers, not the greatest rear guard. Anyway, swinging with the Vanguard, hitting a critical trigger there. I thankfully do hit a defensive of my own, so that damage is a little bit mitigated. Going into the Gust, actually going to be probably discarding to use its skill, getting an extra drive check. So this is getting pretty scary for me. Even though I have that defensive, I really don't have the amount of cards that I would need in order to guard this. So I'm going to have to... looking at the numbers and looking at the guard value, I'm thinking I kind of have to bank on the fact that he doesn't hit a crit off his 1 drive check and just be able to guard the other 2 rears, because I do have enough guard value in my hand in order to guard these last 2 attacks. But I don't really want to waste on over guarding the Vanguard, because if he hits a defensive and I do like 1, or if he hits a trigger and I do 1 to pass, then that's just shield value gone for me. So we're gonna do that 1 drive check, and it's gonna be a critical trigger. So I'm gonna do my first damage check. Thankfully it is a heal trigger, so I do not die here. Giving that power to the Vanguard, and my second check is going to be another trigger, a critical trigger, putting me up to 43. So it looks like we are just gonna be swinging at that Tidal Assault, and unfortunately this other attack is not gonna be able to hit thanks to those 3 defensives. And I definitely do not feel bad about hitting 3 defensive this turn, because this man just hit double crit me that turn. So fuck you, Joshua. Don't do that again. Anyways, going into this next turn, I do have my board set up. Unfortunately, I don't have that all important Persona Ride. So basically this turn is going to be hitting for not the greatest numbers. We're going to try and push as many cards out of his hand as possible. Maybe do a little bit of cleanup. As always, it's going to be starting off with that Inlet Pulse called from the soul. Thankfully, we do know I have another Inlet Pulse in my hand from last turn, because I did drive check it. So it looks like that Inlet Pulse is going to be coming on down, activating the Judgment Maelstrom that we drew into, and calling back out that Tidal Assault that just died the turn before. So now I do have the very ideal setup. I am missing like 1 card, probably the grade 1 I would have wanted to have in the back middle row column. But with this setup, I can get that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks against the Vanguard. Now he is only at 3, so it is not really the greatest idea to try and probably push for game. So as you see, I'm going to be swinging at that rear guard, using the Tidal Assault to swing at the Vanguard, and using the skill to pump up my Maelstrom by another 5k. Just going to be hit with another 5k guard, which is kind of what we're trying to do at this point. We're just trying to get cards out of hand. Swinging the Inlet Pulse, this time at the Gust, doing a little bit more cleanup. And then the 4th attack, we're going to be retiring another Therapy Angel. So for those of you counting at home, that is 3 Therapy Angels killed so far. Anyways, we're going to be doing the drive check. Judgment Maelstrom, definitely not something I want to see. And Inlet Pulse, another thing I really do not want to be seeing, because that just means I have less cards to guard with. And I am already at 5. And when you're at 5, you really don't want to be drawing into grade 3s. So we're going to be swinging with that Tidal Assault, actually getting a damage in, swinging the last Inlet Pulse, which is just going to be guarded with a 15k shield. Probably didn't want to commit any more pieces to Guardian Circle, because even though it is just a 5k guard, you don't really want to be using them all up. But of course, we are going to be starting off with that Persona Ride that we searched out last turn, using the Youthberk skill to check top 3, and calling out a Witch, which is kind of your ideal call target in this situation, I would say.
Wait, what? You discarded your 4th one?
Yes.
What the fuck?
I literally drew into it.
So as we see there, he did manage to get the 4th Therapy Angel. And going into this turn, I'm feeling a little better just because he does call out that critical trigger. So I'm like, oh, he doesn't really have anything to actually attack me with. So maybe the cleanup last turn did do a lot of good. But as we see in the drive checks, a 3rd critical trigger coming on down, giving all the effects to that Therapy Angel, and then revolt dressing into the Tempest, bottom decking my Wheel Assault, which is really bad for me because I believe at this point I don't really have another Wheel Assault in rotation at the moment. So in this situation, unfortunately, that critical trigger, despite being 5k, thanks to the Persona Ride and Tempest, it is hitting for 20, which means I would need a 20k guard. And if you look at my hand, this Therapy Angel is swinging for a 35, which means I have to commit at least 25 points of shield. But unfortunately, in my hand, as you can see, I only have 2 triggers, which means I have to commit both of them in order to actually guard this 35 attack. And I cannot take this attack because it is double critical. So my plan here, I only have another 15k shield and my intercept. So what I'm going to end up doing here is my plan is to bank on a heal, guard the Vanguard, warn to pass, and...
Fuck you.
and just take the trigger attack. But as you can see, that did not work out for me because we hit another trigger, a front trigger, which just makes everything worse, and we are not going to be seeing that 6 damage heal anyway. So that's going to be the end of the game. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.